As Lynch said, the language of cinema is complex and it takes a while to learn to speak it. And, this one I'm proud of because we did what we intended and it looks kind of effortless. So I'm quite proud of it.
Since breaking into the scene with his 1984 feature, Stranger Than Paradise, Jim Jarmusch has been an original and consistent presence on the American independent scene. Where others have become creatures of the system, big-budget studio films, and streaming-driven projects, Jarmusch has stayed true to his indie roots, coming out with a new film every few years and reminding us just how truly original and idiosyncratic he is as a filmmaker. His new film, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, winner of the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival, has returned to the form of a grouping of separate and yet interconnected stories. The signature deadpan humor is back, but there's an added depth of emotion at the conclusion that's both surprising and deeply satisfying. The cast is exceptional, with Jim Jarmusch regulars Tom Waits and Adam Driver, joined by new collaborators Charlotte Rampling, Cate Blanchett, Vicky Krieps, Mayim Bialik, Indya Moore, and Luka Sabbat. Please join us for our conversation with indie icon Jim Jarmusch as we discuss his new film, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, on Inside the Arthouse, starting now.
Hi, everyone. Greg Lumley here, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Arthouse. Today, we're joined by indie icon filmmaker Jim Jarmusch. He's here to talk about his new film, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. Thank you for joining us, Jim.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Raphael, for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I guess here's my first question, which I really taking from what you wrote about the film in your director's statement. You said that Father, Mother, Sister, Brother is a kind of anti-action film, and I wondered if you could just sort of explain, when you say anti-action film, what are you resisting, and what are you resisting?
Well, it's not so much an act of resistance, and it's more was a statement I needed to make of some kind, like some kind of catchphrase for the director's statement, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah. But it is true that I was trying to do something devoid of certain expectations, like drama, like revenge, violence, sex. I was kind of removing all of those things, and I was just trying to make something that was empathetic in a way, like not judgmental of these characters and purely observational. So I've said this too. The metaphor I like is I was sort of creating three small flower arrangements cinematically that accumulate. Like you can't look at them separately. The film's I'm very proud of how carefully it's constructed to accumulate. But, if you arrange flowers in a vase and you move a leaf here, you see another color behind, or it's very delicate, and this was a very delicate film to make. So that was sort of my procedure. And it's not that I like all kinds of films, so I watch all kinds of stuff. But I just was focusing on something very simple and I have to say I've said this too in regards to this film. It takes a lot of effort to make it look effortless. So we were very, very focused in how this film would accumulate all these details. So that's really my intention, more than anti-something. It was just appreciating the most minimal things you can use to make a film that is somehow, still a piece of cinema that has something. It does deliver, I hope, some kind of sort of empathetical thing. I'm not even trying to say anything with it. Really, I'm just observing people's interrelations and kind of minimal complexities on a kind of mundane level, not a dramatic one,
Right. It does punch you. At least it punched me in the gut, as it were, by the end. Emotionally, it really kind of it hit me very hard, but in a way that's hard to explain. So it does, as you say, accumulate in a beautiful way.
Yeah,
I'm curious how do you explain to the actors, again, because they're working across different stories. They're certainly in many cases not absolutely not working with each other across the different stories. And yet when you talk about accumulating and being consistent with these sort of the idea behind each story, do they get that? Do they just work with you to sort of understand that, I'm not going to be present at the end of this film, but what I do in the first story is contributing to something that's going to be in the second story and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, they're all very focused, very intelligent people, and so they understood what I was trying to do. But at the same time, I like to shoot sometimes out of order. I like the actors not to be. My thing with actors is I want them to be reacting and not acting. So I don't like them acting out the intention of a scene written in a script. Therefore, I never rehearse with them any scene we're going to shoot, but I rehearse with them by talking about the character, sometimes by making little scenes up where they would be in character, but those scenes won't be filmed. And so I'm just trying to get them to find a place where we collaborate on their ability to react as this imaginary character that we're collaborating on. And also, I don't talk to them all as a group. Like if there's 3 characters in a scene, I don't say to all of them, here's what the scene's intention is or whatever, because it's different for each of them. So I talk to them separately. And often, less so in this film, but I often prefer to shoot out of sequence so that the actors aren't worrying about, wait, what came before this and how does it resonate here? Their job is to just react as that character. And if they trust me and they trust the script or whatever, version of a script I have, because I'm changing it as we go often. It's all a process. So yeah, they were certainly, and most of these actors I'd worked with before, so they were certainly down with my kind of process, and they trusted me, and they were really a joy to work with too. All of them were just really fantastic. So
glorious actors. Yeah.
So lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wondered if in as you were working on scenes, as you're shooting them, I mean, maybe you're rehearsing them then on camera or the first time, or if there are times where you have to kind of say, just do less, just let it happen. Because I mean, actors are trained to find scenes and beats and moments and kind of create tell. I mean, this is what sort of training is about often, and so you go against that grain in the best sense. And I wonder if it was at times if you had to kind of encourage or coax people to go with you.
Yeah, I like to, if I get a take I like to do a take that maybe is a variation. And I trust the actors to find things too. They all have different strengths. Like some of them are really good at improvising and some of them are not good at all at improvising. And they all have different abilities and, strengths. On the first day of shooting with Tom Waits and Mayim Bialik and Adam Driver, Adam and Mayim are very precise actors. They're very focused. Tom Waits needs a longer leash, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So after the first day of shooting, Tom and I are very old friends, he said, I don't know, Jim, I feel like you hired these 2 professional killers here. What am I doing? What am I doing?
It actually works.
Yeah, I'm like, you're doing your thing, Tom, and they're doing theirs respectively. And, I know you trust me. And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't be here. So, we just proceed like that. But there's a great story about Do Less. Who are the main actors in Some Like It Hot, the Billy Wilder film? Jack Lemmon.
Tony Curtis, and of course...
Tony Curtis. So there's a story where Tony Curtis, they kept doing takes, and Billy Wilder said, that's good, Tony, let's do it again, just take it down a little. They do this like 5 times. He's like, okay, Tony, really good, just take it down a little more. Finally, Tony Curtis says, Billy, if I take it down anymore, I won't even be acting. Billy Wilder said, exactly.
Exactly.
But actors are all different, and there's no one way for any one director to direct all actors. And anyone who tells you that is missing something beautiful about variations and limitations and strengths, So I try to work really closely, and that's why I love to get to work with them over again, because we kind of already have broken through a certain kind of understanding, and we have a kind of shorthand. So I've worked with Tom a lot he's a friend and someone very valuable in my life. So, but working with Cate Blanchett again and getting to work with Adam Driver numerous times. I love working with Adam. So it's really great when you get to work with them again.
Do you, were they cast? Or did you have them in mind for these roles and sort of write to their strengths or to their personalities?
I kind of work backwards. I almost always write thinking of the actors I would like to embody as these characters. So my starting point for this film, oddly enough, was not about families or anything like that. It was sitting alone up in my house in the Catskills where I write and thinking, wow, it'd be cool if Tom Waits were Adam Driver's father or something, And then I started thinking about that.
And that's funny as hell.
And I'm a Jeopardy nerd, right? And Mayim I wasn't so familiar with Mayim's whole legacy as a TV actor, but she was one of my favorite Jeopardy hosts, She had a real knack of who is Rasputin? That's him. There's something great about her. And I thought she'd be so cool to be the sister of Adam. And so it started like that. And then immediately the second one was coming with Vicky and Cate. And and also in the last chapter, I'd worked with Indya and Luka before, briefly, both of them. So I wrote for them. So I start kind of usually with the actors that I'd like to kind of trick into doing this collaboration with me. So,
again, there's something so unexplained. There's the film almost feels like a Rorschach test in a way. Like what you see and what you feel is kind of what you feel, and what as an audience anyway. That was my experience. There's no hand on the scale, as it were. But as you were writing it from the inside, in terms of kind of the sort of the spark, other than the actors, I guess I wondered what the thread through the needle was that you were exploring, because these are three family themed, unresolved, complex, unspoken families, and I just wondered what that spark was.
Well, I'll tell you, it was strange because I usually have more of a plot, more of this is a very minimal film, and these are just 3 afternoons we spend with these people. And so it's very dialogue-oriented. Yeah. And so I got into this zone, which I get in occasionally while writing scripts, where honestly, they just start talking, and I feel as though I'm transcribing what they say rather than it's coming out of my own head. Because I'm so invested in imagining these actors making something with me. They're not just themselves. They're playing someone that has elements of themselves. And man, this one was really interesting. I wrote it very fast, and I was just sort of listening to them talk and writing it down. And so it's nothing heavy or intentionally meaningful in any of it, which was my intention too. And then, I throw a lot of pauses and things in because I've always felt I'm also a musician, and I feel that the notes not played really affect how we receive the notes that are played, So I've always been interested in the things sort of left out. In fact, I've tried to make entire films based on things we normally would leave out. Like, I made a film, Night on Earth, that are these stories of taxi rides. And in a normal plot, that's just secondary. That's not valuable information to advance the story, right?
Right.
Usually they get in the cab, then they get out of the cab, and then, they had a cab ride. But I made the whole film of that. Or Coffee and Cigarettes are just the moments where we're not doing the things we're supposed to be doing. We're taking a break and using these substances,
Yeah.
So those conversations become very free. And I really like the things that are left out often. And this film, I left out a lot of like meaningfulness or trying to deliver a message. But I am trying to engender empathy in some way, of observing other people and not judging them, because all of them are flawed, as we all are. And parents, invariably fuck up their kids in some way. And, and that happens in these little chapters in this film. But, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, guys.
No, what you just said is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Well, parents fuck up their kids, and they don't fuck up their kids. I mean,
yes,
and even when there's a fucked up relationship, there's still love.
Well, my daughter's very open with me about what happens in her life, I think, because I told her, if you're ever apprehended by authorities or you have any trouble, I'm not going to criticize or get all over you. I'm going to support you and help you extricate you or whatever you need. I'm your father, And then I said to her, this was a few years ago, and I said, because I fucked up my life, you fuck up your own, And she really appreciated that. I think that's why she trusts me.
The ultimate freedom, right. Yeah, no, that's just wonderful. There are two words that I think about recently which terrify me just in the same sentence, which is the two words attention economy, and just putting them together always just sort of it upsets me. I don't know how to say it, but that's part of the landscape that we're in, And
what does that mean exactly? I don't know.
Basically, the attention economy, as it's been defined, and it's a sort of somewhat of a tech term, but it's really trying to get people to look or to like or to to watch or to it's all
keep watching.
It's the competition to monetize people's attention. So that, and that success is based upon how much attention has been paid, not in a good Arthur Miller way.
Yeah, is that the sense where the anti-action film comes in, because you're, competing with this environment of, 15-second TikTok and sort of that sort of stuff, and trying to teach people how to be patient with storytelling.
Well, that's what's so powerful about what you do, is that you literally invite us into like it's sort of an oasis in that. I mean, it's about something else.
Well, I think people need that relief. I think that's why this film, I've gotten pretty nice responses that I'm sort of surprised by, but I appreciate. But I have to be really honest. I don't think about that stuff at all. Because I don't know how to explain this. Like, also when young people ask me, what advice do you have, or what's your analysis of the state of cinema and the loss of theatrical experiences and platforms and this whole new realm that is new? And, my answer is, I don't give a shit about any of that delivery systems, because I'm in love with the form of filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And you can make a film with your iPhone. You can make a film if you love the form of what it is. But if you start, what writer starts thinking while they're writing about, well, who's going to what publisher will release my book in Montana? And if you're thinking about that, man, you're not even a writer anymore. So, and it is a very complex world, and it's interesting how the dissemination of things changes. And I go back often to this essay by Walter Benjamin, who wrote about the art in the age of mechanical reproduction in like the 30s or 20s, right? And cinema is mechanically reproduced thing that's delivered. But honestly, that's secondary. That's just the delivery system to me. So it's the form of it that's beautiful. And I don't know. Sean Baker made that film Tangerine with his iPhone, a beautiful film. And Sean Baker, just as an example, he loves movies. He lives for this form of cinema. And I don't think he either really cares about, well, what platform will my films be released on? You know, in the end, that's not even our problem, because as filmmakers, the more we try to control it, the more frustrating we become, you know? So I just let go of all of that. I just love the form. And I want to keep doing it. And I have a new film I'm preparing now to shoot next year, already start in May. And I just feel very lucky. I mean, I work my ass off to do it. I'm very stubborn. I've walked away from a lot of opportunities that would have gotten me more money or more recognition or fame or whatever it is. You know, I don't care about that. I just love this beautiful language, and it's a complex one to learn. And David Lynch was always saying, people don't understand. We get an idea in our head, and we translate it onto a screen in this very complicated structure and procedure. But that's what we're trying to do. And it takes, you know, Akira Kurosawa said when he was very old and they asked him, well, when will you stop making films? He said, well, as soon as I kind of really figure out how to do it. And, you know, he was partly being self-effacing, but he was also being honest. So I learn every time I learn something new. And I just find, what other form of expression contains all of these things? Movement and music and writing and composition and photography and style and colors and, you know, it's everything in cinema is so, it's just such a magical thing to me. Also, to quote Lynch again, he said it's the closest thing that humans create. It's the closest things to dreams that we can make as art, you know? So, yeah, it's just a magical thing. I'm still trying to learn how to do it, you know? Sort of my attitude.
That's just great.
You have returned to this form or this style. I don't know, not anthology, omnibus. I'm not sure exactly what to call it. But where it is a collection of stories, and they're, you know, on the surface not directly connected in a typical plot sort of sense, but they are connected. What is it that you love about that?
You know, I think of it primarily initially as a literary form, like the Canterbury Tales or the Decameron, where a group of stories accumulate.
Right.
But it's been used in cinema extensively in different ways, like a whole tradition of Japanese ghost stories that are episodic, a whole series of Italian comedies that are episodic, often with different directors doing them.
Yeah.
And I've used them in sort of different ways. My film Mystery Train is something happening simultaneously in the same place. And then Night on Earth are things happening simultaneously but across time zones.
Right.
And, Coffee and Cigarettes is just a collection of little ridiculous conversations, you know, very free.
No, this one has more in common, I guess, with certainly with the first two.
Well, yeah, this one's very delicate, though, because this one really relies on its accumulation.
Yes.
Whereas I think Coffee and Cigarettes, you could watch them out of order. It's not really that important. I think Night on Earth, too, is that they're very intentional, the order they're in, but it's not quite the same thing. They don't accumulate toward the same kind of emotional peak. Like Father, Mother was kind of designed to emotionally peak when the two twins in Paris embrace in their parents' bedroom that's empty. And it's about loss, you know? And if you think about it, each story, a stage is being set, like a fabricated stage in a way. The father messes up his place to give the impression that it's more disheveled, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The mother sets a stage on this tabletop of delicate porcelain and pastries, and, you know, it's like a little presentation. But in the third story section, it's about loss and grief, and the stage is empty. You know, it's gone, and they're dealing with that absence, so it's a much more laden emotional thing. But building it, you know, I don't know. I keep saying this, but we really were very careful in how we constructed the thing, even though it looks like nothing's even happening, really.
Oh, no.
It was, the language, as Lynch said, the language of cinema is complex, and it takes a while to learn to speak it. And, this one I'm proud of because we did what we intended, and it looks kind of effortless, so I'm quite proud of it.
It does look effortless, and the actors also just float. I mean, having said that, of course, that you've backed away from trying to sort of imbue meaning, I guess I wanted to ask you about a specific, which is the skateboarders. And there's a skateboarding motif that goes through, and I wondered if you even have musically a sense of what that means or what that is, or what they have a sort of a kind of a slightly dangerous kind of vibe. They're wild. They kind of come through at different times in each one of the three stories. I wonder if you could talk about that.
Well, it's interesting you said you referred to it as musical, because to me these are moments of kind of relief, because all the characters in the film are they're kind of encapsulated in this situation they're involved in, seeing their families, almost obligations, right? And the skaters are free. And I love skaters because they are free, and they move through the world on a little piece of transportation that's a piece of material with wheels on it they can carry, right? And they wear their own style of clothes, and baggy clothes and Vans, and they have their own thing, and they don't like authority, and they're often, a lot of the young skaters I've encountered are like non-binary. They don't like being told what the rules are. They don't like it. And in Paris, you see those skaters skating around a police car going the other way. They don't care. They're like, we're free. And so in the film, I wanted just these little moments of relief, of freedom, like looking out the window and seeing a flock of birds go by or something.
Or a butterfly, right. Yeah.
They can fly, and we're like bound to the earth in this way. And skaters are like that to me. They can fly in a certain way. And also a little shout out to them too, in that there's no visual effects at all in this film. I mean, I green screened outside the car, but it's supposed to be realistic looking to a degree. And but the skaters I ramp to slow-mo, because skate videos, they always do that they love to ramp to slow-mo and back. It's a skater thing. So I'm like giving a little tribute out to their sense of themselves as skaters. So I don't know. I really, they had no reason to be in the film whatsoever, but I just wanted that little relief and that like glimpse of freedom, of being untethered in the world. And skaters are always like that to me. And I love hearing skaters before I see them. So you'll hear the wheels of skater coming down the street, and then you see them. And I don't know. I just have a real, I love skaters. I'm not one, but I'd break my neck, whatever. But I really love skaters and how they live, And I love that anti-authoritarian thing they have. They just don't care. Mm-hmm. They just want to skate, man. They want to. And also, it's a very kind of almost J.G. Ballard thing where a lot of skate culture came from, in Southern California, from breaking into abandoned swimming pools. Mm-hmm. So they're actually involved in criminal activity to further their love for this thing they do, So that's kind of cool, too, just the history of skaters.
That's cool. I'll never look at a skater the same way.
I'm always very happy. They always give me a little release when I see skaters fly by, and I think, wow, hats off to you guys,
There's another motif with the characters often wearing the same color during the film, and yet in the last vignette, one of the characters is deliberately, perhaps deliberately, but not wearing the color, and an absence. It's just something
Well, the twins wear like black leather jackets.
That's true.
Yes. So they do have a kind of unity.
One of them is in
style.
red, which connects it with the other stories, and the other is not.
The red thing, this is kind of personal. It's weird. I like your sweater, by the way. I love certain colors.
It's an honor of the film.
Well, thank you. But I have a weird thing. A few years ago, my color sensitivity increased. And so colors are more saturated to me than they were a few years ago. And I went to an optometrist. I explained it, and he said, I have no idea. You got to talk to a neurologist, man. I don't know what's going on in your brain. But it's not dramatic. I sort of enjoy it now. At first it was disturbing, but now I kind of just pretend I'm on mushrooms or something, you know? But the cool thing is, all my life, my favorite color was shades of blue, always blue, blue. And since this aberration, it turned to shades of red. Which was never my favorite color. And now I love shades of red. I like the cooler ones, not the orangey ones. But I love red, and somehow that fed into this film having, I don't know why. Why am I telling you this?
Well, because
then these colors of red kind of became important to me. And Saint Laurent, that is not a traditional... By the way, all the clothes in the film Saint Laurent made for the film.
I saw that in the credits. I was like, holy Moses.
We did, because when they offered to support the film, which they did financially fantastically, and Anthony Vaccarello, the head designer and head of Saint Laurent, is an artist, right? And he has supported not really commercial films. Myself, Pedro Almodovar, Sorrentino, Cronenberg. But the thing is, I've never been supported by an artist before. I've gotten money from film people, right? Yeah. So he just wanted me to do what I wanted to do. But from the very first meeting, I said, look, because I made a short little surreal film for Saint Laurent a few years ago using their clothes. And I said, look, if you want it to be just Saint Laurent clothes, I'm too particular about how the characters are defined by what they wear. And they said, why don't you tell us what you want it to be and we'll make it for you.
Oh, my
so
God.
All the clothes are made by Saint Laurent, but they're not from their line, Plus, I have Catherine George as my costume designer extraordinaire, and she is... She's a historian of clothes and fashion, like brilliant, but she's also a punk rock girl from Belfast, So she's kind of on the wild side, where I was like, did Catherine get arrested last night? Is she going to be in today? Or, she's fantastic. So we worked together with Saint Laurent to have things what we wanted, but they're actually all made by Saint Laurent. It's remarkable. So that was kind of an interesting connection for sure.
I didn't understand that when I saw their name in the credits, and that. Thanks for explaining that.
And red is not a traditional color of the house of Yves Saint Laurent, although he played with even Mondrian colors and things at times.
Cooler.
But red is not one of their main colors, and so they made me these red things. And now I know in their new lines, Anthony's gotten more colorful recently, not because of our film. But just interestingly, and there are some reds that are filtering through, and some, like I asked them to make me a suit for these film festivals, a double-breasted. I wanted a burgundy-colored suit, because I saw in their store one for women in New York, but I said, could you make me one like that? Which they did. So, yeah, they're fantastic to work with, But Anthony Vaccarello is a great artist. And like me, we have a connection because he likes to look backwards and forwards. He likes to respect certain traditions of the house of Yves Saint Laurent, but he likes to then make them his own as well. Mm-hmm. And I love the whole history of cinema and all of these things, so I love looking backwards, but I try to make things my own, and he has a similar thing. I'm not comparing myself as an artist to him because he's more sophisticated, most likely. But there's a nice connection there with looking in both directions appreciatively.
I have a question about the music. I mean, you're a musician, you're a composer, and music has seemed to be very important to your films. And you have the Dusty Springfield song at the beginning and then at the end, and then I think there's a cover in the credits. But am I right, or did I hear it correctly that there is no music in the body of the film, that it's essentially
Other than that one scene.
Other than those two scenes.
No, there is a score. There is music threaded throughout the film, very minimal music. And it was a little complicated to find it because, for example, Carter Logan and I made music for my film Patterson. And Patterson is a particular view of the world, a perspective of one character, a central character. In this film, there are no central characters. There's no one particular viewpoint.
There's no theme, right? Yeah.
So a lot of the little music I made for the score was too melancholic or too intentionally, emotionally giving intent somehow. So it was kind of hard to find the little instrumental score in the film, but instead, little pieces were created that are more like the air surrounding the characters, or like little weather reports rather than emotional like indicators, you know? So it's very minimal and quiet. And then there's the song Spooky, the cover by Dusty Springfield, which is one of my favorite songs.
Such a great song.
So that made it in. That's the only licensed music in the film. And then while creating the score and collaborating with Annika Henderson, she did I asked her to do These Days, a cover of the song, Jackson Browne's song, but Nico's version is the definitive one for me. And then she did one of Spooky as well, which we put at the front credits. So, but the Spooky song's interesting because I didn't have that in the script at all. And I had a young woman driving me to the set in France, in Paris, every day. And she said, what kind of music you want to listen to or none when we drive? And I said, well, what do you have playlists? What do you listen to? Let me hear what you listen to. And on the first day, halfway through, came Dusty Springfield's Spooky. And I said, oh man, I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs, favorite covers. I love Dusty's version. Beautiful. And then we found this 8-track cassette in our car that's in the film, the parents' car. And I thought, that has to be their mother's favorite song about their father, Dusty's version of Spooky. So it found its way into the film on its own in an odd way, you know?
Yeah, it's so great when it comes in. But I so appreciate that having more music, as you say, would be it would be interfering with the kind of the space that you've created, and it would be it would be kind of generating an emotional response, a specific emotional response.
Yeah, between the chapters there, sorry to interrupt.
No, please, go.
Between the chapters, there are little abstract, little respiration periods to sort of clear yourself, and there's music there.
Right.
And then there's little pieces throughout occasionally, but very minimal. So, yeah, it's just little atmospheric things that, I don't know. I'm very happy with them. There was a time where I thought there should be no music in the film except Dusty Springfield, you know? But yeah, I think the music found its way, and I'm happy with it. And we have a soundtrack record out on Sacred Bones, which is my record label for a lot of things I do, which I love that label, Sacred Bones. So.
Oh, that's great. For people who want to check it out, that's great. Awesome. That's great.
Well, the film is, so it's going to be opening in New York and Los Angeles on December 24th, I believe.
Is that a holiday? Or?
I don't know.
Yeah, on Christmas Eve. Wow.
And it's going to be widening on January 9th. So hopefully coming to theaters across the country on that day.
Yeah, I'm just so happy it gets theatrical release at all. And these are very nice theaters and appropriate for the film. So I'm very happy about all of that. So
it really is a film that would be so benefit from being in a theater. Just A, because of the size, B, because of the world, C, because it's that real estate dedicated to kind of just being with it. It urges you to slow down and come to it, as it were, and just kind of find
concentration.
Yeah.
You just focus.
And there is something in it that is, I won't say universal, but resonates with many people just experientially, you know, the situation of families and, you know, awkwardness of seeing each other. And the line in the film, you know, you choose your friends and your lovers, but you don't choose your family. Yeah. So I think it's nice to share it with, you know, groups. The things I've shown it in France and in Paris at several theaters and had Q&As, and I'm doing that in LA the next days, and I'll do it in New York. And there's something really nice about it theatrically with people sharing it together. And something, it works, it helps this film somehow. It's mysterious to me, but it's better than seeing it alone, you know, in your living room. So.
Well, I think everyone's going to get something different. I know just even talking with Raphael before you came on, just, you know, and it's like our reactions were different, in part probably because our relationships with our parents and our children are different. And, you know, and so, but I think the ability to see it with other people and sort of gauge what they see in the film is it's really valuable.
Yeah, in France, I did several Q&As, and one of them I said, well, thank you all for coming out on a Monday night. You could be at home doing your laundry. And they appreciated that. And then the next time it was a really large theater with a lot of young people. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, it's Tuesday evening. You could all be at home like listening to PJ Harvey on vinyl. And they appreciated that one too. So,
you know, when you talk to young people who are seeing your films, how often have they seen your earlier work? I mean, we're talking 40 years now of cinema.
It kind of varies. You know, I get a lot of like, yeah, my mom told me about your film Down by Line. You know? Well, thanks to your mom. Send my regards. Dude. So yeah, it kind of varies, and some of them know them a lot. And but the weird thing is, as I get older, it gets larger. The number of people that have seen them. I guess that's just algorithmically logical. But it's kind of strange for me because more and more people have seen my films. So I don't know where the hell they see them, but I'm happy if they have some response to them. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, Jim, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to spend some time with us talking about father, mother, sister, brother. Your films have meant a lot to me, you know, over the course of my work running this company. And, you know, I think about, you know, dating my interest in cinema beyond just what, you know, Hollywood films to you know, to films like Stranger Than Paradise.
Respect to you, Greg, for all you've done for all of this. You know, it's really appreciated. And thank you guys both. You know, this is the first podcast I've ever been on.
We
Seriously.
are super honored.
What's a podcast?
It's a real honor. It's a real honor. Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for taking this time. You're a hero of mine. So I again, it's just thrilling to talk to you. Thanks for the work you do.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, shucks. I don't know what to say about that, but
yeah, no, truly.
I'm just trying to figure out how to do it, so I appreciate it.
You did a great job. I hope it wasn't too painful, and a few more of these now.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you very much, Jim Jarmusch. Thank you to the audience for joining us here on Inside the Art House. If you've liked the episode, please hit like and subscribe and share. We do want people to come and see Father, Mother, Sister, Brother as it rolls out around the country end of the year, 2025 and early 2026. So look for the film at your local theater.
Yeah, thanks again, you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
This episode of Inside the Art House was produced by Wishing Well Entertainment and Raphael Sparge, with on-site production by Noreen Dickerson. Our supervising producers are Thomas Cassetta and Miles McCreary. The episode was edited by Rick Pratt, with sound mixing by Thomas Cassetta. Our musical theme was composed by Isabel Engman and Gerardo Garcia Jr., graphics by Jenna DeAngelis, and social media marketing and web design by Stephanie Peters. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing. See you next time on Inside the Art House.